Here's a recent game off the 3599 ladder between Anarchy and Rick. This is Cybran on Cybran. It'd be nice to have a replay vault for the 3603 ladder as well, but really only 2599 exists. So here we see Rick starting with land. A lot less error strats at 3599, going 4 power. It looks like he's going to let the NGs get 3 of his mask extractors. Well, that was Anarchy. Here's Rick getting a few of the mask extractors himself. 3 P-gens. Looks like his first engine is going to get a single mask extractor. Palms get a whole bunch of rocks early on, so it's a question of how much time you want to spend reclaiming them, how much microing with your NGs. Makes a big difference in terms of your initial build order. You can see Anarchy is going to go second air after it looks like 9 or 8 power generators. See the first 3 NGs. You can have a plan for a whole bunch of T1 land. We also see second air from Rick, and he's going to allow his NGs to do that. So Rick using his ACU for mask extractors more than Anarchy. And I guess for this map, or for most maps, you can really change build orders, but the result is the same. Second air, so you should see some nice air fighting early on, maybe some bombers. It's always a question. You want to go with interceptor first or bomber, and if you're expecting the other player to get air and get bomber first, you can really screw them up by going interceptor first. But if you go interceptor and they go land, you've wasted a whole bunch of time. Absolutely no scouting so far. We see the first raiders. We see Anarchy sending Mantis. No hunters. Oh, we are beginning to see some mech marines. Oh no, these are also Mantis, so this is all Cybran. You can see this Mantis going directly up the middle of the map. The ACU for Rick is leaving. He also has an engine going in that direction. This Mantis might actually get in and do some damage. We see a bomber. Here's first bomber, first interceptor, and you can see the interceptor if and the bomber dies. So early advantage for Anarchy in terms of air. And here's those NGs actually reclaimed that Mantis. That was a really nice move from Rick. And NG loss for Rick. So early on, losses for Rick, and now we see Mantis on Mantis, and a defending Mantis wins. Actually, there was 2 Mantis. So good protection from Rick, and now we see bombers coming out from Anarchy, targeting the power, but Rick has been making air, so pretty tough air fight here. They have a 3v2, and it appears that Rick will recover air. Well, now it's 3v3, so still some air losses for Anarchy. See another bomber coming out, except that it's caught out by Anarchy's interceptor. So a pretty tough fight in terms of air early on. This minute 5. You can see the ACU for Anarchy being a little more aggressive, already pushing at Rick's expanding NGs, or expanding mask extractors. You see it's a single NG getting a whole bunch. Really low protection, and now we see a whole bunch of raiding Mantis from Rick, killing off mask extractors. And a lot of raiding from Anarchy here. We see an NG expanding to the bottom. Won't get there. Mask extractor loss, and actually some Mantis wandering directly into Rick's base, but will be killed pretty soon. Should have really ran into the base. See some capturing done by Anarchy, getting these 2 mask extractors right outside of Rick's base, and the ACU retreats. So it looks like a little more raiding from Anarchy, but he doesn't really have too much of a force now. It's the beginnings of something that looks like a force that's going to the ACU. A raiding party from Rick. So lots of things happening all over the map, and now we see this NG. It's going to capture these mask extractors back. With this force from Anarchy just going in between 2 forces for Rick. It's going to be successful. On the other side, you can see Rick's ACU choosing to retreat, but he does have a raiding force to cut a whole bunch of mask extractors. See a late response from Rick. He's sending a pretty massive force after these and this expanding NG might get killed too. This is good positioning of a Mantis and Scout, preventing any NGs from expanding through that direction. And now we see Air is shifting toward Anarchy's way, and very similar on the other side, some raiding from Rick, so very similar gameplay from both players. And now we can see Anarchy might be in a little bit of trouble, but not really. He does have a force coming in. So 8 kills for Anarchy. He's really just teasing Rick into sending his units to their death. Actually, these were for the most part flak, but still other targets to shoot at. So Anarchy had 27 kills. A nice move from Anarchy. And elsewhere, for whatever reason, Rig decided not to expand to these spots, even though he has total control. So the ACU retreated and no NGs going in that direction. A whole bunch of mass in this area, so even though Anarchy got a bunch of veterancy, he did not hold on to this position. It would be nice to see NGs in this area, but a new force coming in for Anarchy will most likely push Rick back here. And you can see the air control for Anarchy is paying off. He's got really nice recon. We see a raiding party for Rick in the middle. Then this is a little lack of micro there. You see these already taking out these Mantis quite easily. Very surprising, nothing's happening in the top right corner. Actually, a T2 mask extractor quite far out in the field. We see not too many T1. These are mostly T1. Interesting that Anarchy chose to get 2 mask extractors directly in the middle of the field. So he's expecting to hold on. Now we see T2 coming out from Rick. And now we see these NGs from Anarchy. They're going to get this mass. It's excellent to see. See a factory attack move. Great feature. And NG capturing mask extractors. Amazing that nothing's happening here in the top right corner. You can see the air fight still belongs to Anarchy. See, it looks like a numbers advantage for Anarchy, but T2 hoplites from Rick are going to be able to put an end to this. You can see Anarchy choosing not to go against the main base. He's just going to hold on to these. Now we see cruise missiles actually from Rick. He has built a hive for build capacity and a missile launcher next to his ACU. So he's got a T2 ACU. You can see us taking out that T2 mass extractor. That's a pretty big loss for Anarchy. And now we see that raiding party from Anarchy getting taken out quite easily. But massive numbers advantage in the middle of the field. And you see those cruise missiles coming out. Of course, yeah, now we see Jesters and a pretty nice air force from Rick now. Killing off the Jesters, but will likely lose the rest of his planes. It'll be very close. We see the flag helping Anarchy out. This is a pretty massive T2 force now. And now it's a little out of position, and Rick will lose quite a few of his NGs working on this T2. So pretty bad situation for Rick. He kind of got cut out of position. We can see that this cruise missile for Rick, multiple missiles, but not too many targets. He really only took out one obvious target here. And you can see T2 successfully defends, although Rick did lose a whole bunch of T2 NGs, so his build capacity is going to suffer. But you can see these hoplites very effective against T1. It's basically a wall. We see that Rick might be in a little bit of trouble here. He's got multiple T2, however. He does not have any anti-air, and this missile launcher, I think it had some missiles and it has been taken out. And more raiding from Anarchy. See some mobile missile launchers. They're likely going to target these T2. Where did T2 come from in this area for Anarchy? It's surprising. Here's a... where is the T2 NG? Must have been killed. But in terms of map control, Anarchy definitely has the advantage. Although a pretty massive T2 force. Now we also see T2 force from Anarchy as well. This missile launcher at 3 kills. Just sitting there doing nothing. See multiple T2 mass extractors from Rick in his base. These are still T1. So for the most part, T1 from Anarchy. Even though Rick doesn't have map control, he has a better economy at his main base. You can see it's a lot of raiding parties, and a whole bunch of NGs are going to be victims to this T2 force. And now as soon as this T2 force moves out of position, Anarchy is moving in to raid. We do see a T2 PD here, it's going to get a lot of kills, as well as some T1. We also see a missile launcher from Anarchy as well as a TMD. And more raiding from Rick. He also has T2 power now. It's an excellent target for Anarchy's tactical missile. No TMD for Rick at his ACU. And still more fighting here. It looks like a lot of NG loss for Anarchy. For Rick. Actually, his T2 factory might be killed. Very close. This has been a huge loss. Going down to 600 health. I always see this T2 force kind of getting smeared out against this wall. It's really strange. Interesting to see nobody has taken over these mass extractors at the plateaus, even though Anarchy has had air control. Now he actually has T2 air. T2 gunships, very good against hoplites. T2 force up the middle for Anarchy. Now this missile launcher is finally going to target these T2 PDs. Well placed Mantis. For liquid reclamation at 21 minutes. Anarchy at 11,000. Rick at only 3. It's a massive difference, even though there was a whole bunch of fighting at Rick's base, so slightly surprising. Now I see all these NGs for Anarchy getting killed. But these T2 gunships should have a lot of kills. A lot of important kills against T2. Now we can see the missile launcher has been rebuilt for Rick. Did not see any TMD. Very good target for Anarchy, this T2 power. And our T2 force moving in against Rick's main base. We do see some rhinos, some laser tanks. Not particularly good in 3599. This missile launcher doing its job, 10 kills already. And good rating once again from Rick. All of these gestures, 22 kill gesture, an amazing unit here for Anarchy. Is going to get a lot more kills, just undefended Mantis standing in the middle of the field. And I see some cruiser and missile and cruiser missile action. You can see these moving in and actually making it through past this TMD. They're targeting this T2 factory, but unsuccessfully. Multiple T2 factories now from Anarchy. It will take multiple missile launches, especially this TMD shooting. You can see how the cybran cruise missiles break up into 3, so you really need 3 shots to take one out, but one of those smaller missiles doesn't do too much damage, so really that missile barrage was not successful. Pretty nice T1, T2 force here for Anarchy. Will win this side easily. We see a Air Force for Rick in the corner. These T2 gunships still ready to fight for Anarchy. Now we might see T3 soon. Still no T3, it's just rhinos. And a lot of dead units that Rick is neglecting to reclaim. He is living off his T2 mass extractors now. Now I see the hoplites doing a good job. We might see an air fight. We see some T2 bombers now from Anarchy, and that gets a response from Rick. Be a very even fight. It'd be nice to see this fighting over some flak. We see 5 cruise missiles in Anarchy's missile launcher. Now he has plenty of targets and a really nice gunship squadron here. Surprisingly, these Mantis are still alive, and a big group of NGs moving in their direction. And Anarchy does have radar, so it's very surprising. And now it looks like the TMD is the target for the cruise missiles. Very strange. There's multiple TMDs here. Surprising this was actually hit. Now we see this T2 force from Rick expanding to the left. Should have pretty good success. So all game we've seen Anarchy being much better in terms of capturing potential mass extractors. We've seen the stop riots for Rick completely neglected, and any time Anarchy makes a move, he already has NGs going in that direction. In terms of just total NGs, way more for Anarchy. See here, 27th minute, already 17,000 reclaimed for Anarchy. Rick sitting at 4 or 5,000. And a nice push now from this T2 force from Rick. T2 flag's going to be taken out. Surprising, no T2 flag coming with this force. It's going to be a victim of these T2 gunships. It's going to be pretty sad. And now we do see some interceptors coming in. It's going to be effective against the gunships. Surprising though, this air force from Anarchy is not helping his gunships out. It's very surprising, but the gunships did their job, took out the T2 ground force from Rick. We see some raiding on the side, and finally some TMD. These T2 gunships are going to be good against these raiders. And that Mantis has just been hanging out, finally gets a kill. And it appears that all those NGs were massacred by this force, Mantis force from Rick. Now these T2 gunships, T2 bombers actually going to take care of those Mantis. Obviously the counter from Anarchy. That T2 force from Rick should have never died if it had a couple of T2 flags with it. But this counter force now doing real damage to Rick's expansions. See cruise missiles flying in the air now from Anarchy. Cruise missiles from Rick as well. You can see this T1 mass extractors were the targets. We do see some TMD for Rick now. Really wants to protect his T2 factory. Anarchy pulling back a lot of his force. See a T2 force from Rick going up the middle. Doesn't look like it really has the numbers to cause real damage, but it's going to move in nevertheless. And now we see once again the top right side neglected by Rick, but now Anarchy actually getting some of those mass extractors. And this raiding party from Anarchy is still alive. And it looks like Rick is going to throw a lot of his units away. It's a lot of Mantis running in, going to get killed by T2 PD. You see those cruise missiles coming in, taking out mass extractors, although these mass extractors are T1. So really not that good of a target, T1 mass extractor for a cruise missile. Really, Anarchy has been living off of reclaiming his mass, so he doesn't have really that expensive structures. He does have some T2 power, but it's got a lot of protection from TMD. Now the counter from Anarchy is moving in. He kind of stopped right before he got into Rick's base, but Rick does have T3 now with some, we see some loyalists coming out. This is a whole bunch of T2 NGs. This is strange to see, and they were out there getting free mass, finally doing some reclaiming. Now they're going to retreat, and now this loyalist is going to get a lot of kills. A pretty tough battle. We also see T3 now from Anarchy. We see a brick. So both players are switching to T3. This brick is going to do a lot of damage. We see for the most part loyalists from Rick. See how powerful this brick will be. She's really got the range. On that gun it's a little slow moving, but we do see some of those loyalists dying now. So those Mantis are just going to disappear against the loyalists, and now the brick will be targeted by the loyalists, and it's a 4v1. The brick dies, although it takes a few loyalists with it. Nice place to send your NGs. And you can see how good Anarchy is at capturing all these mass extractors, even though he's got a really big battle right next to them. We're going to see some raiding from Rick. Also, we see a T3 force from Anarchy is going to capture the top right side of the map. They most likely move in on Rick's position. We do see some T3 mobile already targeting Rick. Rick is going to think about moving back now. It looks like this was a target of some cruise missiles. This was taken out. Rick was thinking about rebuilding. He does have some power issues now. But massive T1 force going up against this T3 force. Very strange. We see some bricks now being made by Rick. And now Rick is retreating with his ACU, these T3 Arty doing their job. So now the map looks like it's cut in half. This is minute 36, but a lot more mass extractors for Anarchy. Yeah, it seems like if Rig did do a little more capturing mass extractors and been in a lot better shape, as well as reclaiming mass, he would have much better economy, given that he has way more T2 mass extractors, had some nice shots with his cruise missile, took out the early T2 mass extractor, and now he is pushing with his T3. This is Loyalist send bricks. He's going to cause real damage. On the other side though, we see a T3 response from Anarchy. He's going to move his bricks in to defend. Surprisingly, we still don't see any T2 flak in Rick's armies. Just one or two would be great. We do see some stealth here. It's kind of lagging behind the rest of the force for Rick. And now this base for Rick is in quite a bit of trouble. Where it is being neglected, it's going to be attacked by just NGs. Now we see the brick on brick action. So 3 bricks, 4 bricks, the 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th coming in. We see something like 5 bricks not being microed here. The worst possible way you can arrange your bricks is in a straight line right here. Although there is locally some numbers for a Rick. The Mantis moving out, dying very quickly. It's a 4v4. It's a 5th, the 5th brick moving in. We'd see a stealth field extremely good to have along with your bricks. A few of those early shots make a huge difference. It looks like this will be a victory for Rick. He does have numbers. And now we see cruise missiles coming out for Anarchy now. See a single brick here for Rick trying to keep these NGs from moving in. So NGs versus a brick plus some Arty. This brick fight is turning into Anarchy's direction. It's going to be 2 bricks left for Anarchy. Massive mass chunks here that no doubt Anarchy is going to pick up. He already has some NGs moving in this position, getting some mass spots, some radar. This brick for Rick, getting some adventurous NGs, killing him. He's going to kill a few more. See Anarchy at minute 40, 41,000 reclaimed. That's more than 2 Monkey Lords. Rick at 16,000. See a brick fight in the middle, 3 bricks. One of them is pretty low on health. Rick's going to move those bricks in the position. Could be argued that bricks are actually better than Monkey Lords early on, since you can spread them out, do more raiding. And with something like over 10 bricks, a little support, you can take on a spider bot. See these raiding bricks from Brick are going to take out all these expanding mass extractors. Now Rick is moving in with 7 bricks plus a stealth field. You can still see a good use of Mantis from Anarchy going into undefended positions. Here are some dead bricks from Anarchy. He's trying to get behind Rick's base. And these NGs from Anarchy are excellent. They're still pushing forward. Although this mass field, yeah, it isn't neglected. Now Anarchy getting it. And you see the T3 Arty, massive amounts of kills here. 31, 23, 10 are moving into position to bombard at Rick's base from a different spot. Although they could be caught out by a bunch of bricks. Elsewhere we see this force from Rick being very successful, protected by air. These T3 Arty are going to retreat. It's nice to see. It's actually a stealth field with a few Mantis. Going to take care of those 3 mass spots. We see air taken back by Anarchy minute 45, but on land it's a very nice force from Brick. Very similarly a force from Anarchy on the Rick side here. Actually, it looks like Rick does have two separate forces here with bricks. Something like 8 each. This one has 6. He's gonna try to move in on Anarchy's base, but there are plenty of bricks here. Well, and some T2 bombers. Yeah, it looks like Rick should have really moved in quick, do some damage on these build capacity. On the other side, we see a successful group of bricks as well. This is a pretty big, massive brick force here from Anarchy. It's going to put an end. Some nice, juicy mass spots. Mass wrecks. And let's see if these bricks choose to move in on Rick's base here. Took out a T2 mass extractor right there. And great use of Mantis, 4-kill Mantis here. Expanding NGs from Anarchy. So you can see similarly, these bricks are going into groups. First from one side 6 bricks and another side 6 bricks, and the bricks for Anarchy just kind of move sides and get the easy kills. So a pretty big numbers advantage now for Anarchy. I saw T3 already moving in, maybe a little dangerous. I can see bombarding directly into Rick's base. Brave NGs from Anarchy. They have really won the game for him. I mean, there's really no way to believe that Rick can come back from this. He's got T3 already firing in his base, no shields, and doesn't really have any kind of way of actually... Well, he can kill these, but there's no way he can do anything to that massive brick force. See, the map pretty much belongs to Anarchy now. A lot of mass scattered all over the map now. And we finally see at the end game minute 50 flak mixed in to Rick's armies. This flak would have been really useful in some of those T2 raids through the left channel. You see Rick has split his brick force into 2. Chases away the Mantis. See cruise missiles coming in from Anarchy. And NG's now coming out for Rick, trying to get some of this mass. It's a pretty massive brick force now. Rick retreating. He does have stealth on his ACU. Now you can see numbers in brick fights are really big. A lot of damage per second here with these. So focusing power, very good technique. You can see a lot more bricks lost for Rick on that exchange, and Rick calls it a good game. So a very well fought match, a few mistakes from both players, but really NG's won the game for Anarchy. Hope you guys enjoyed it.